Greetings everyone. These systems come from Huazhong University of Science and Technology. I'm honored to have this opportunity to present our paper on the insecurity of non-resettable device identifiers in custom Android systems. User tracking powers personalized services, targeted advertising, and behavior analytics in the mobile ecosystem. To enable such tracking, Android relies on identifiers, which link user activities across apps and over time. Among them, non-resettable device identifiers like email and serial number are permanently bound to devices and persist after factory resets, making them especially valuable for continuous tracking, but also posing severe privacy risks if compromised. To strengthen privacy, access to these identifiers has been restricted starting from Android 10, while global regulations such as GDPR further limited their collection and usage. In response to such restrictions, supply chain actors such as OEMs and SDK providers introduce covert channels through system customization to maintain convenient and stable access to these identifiers. As shown in the figure, a common practice is to store these identifiers in system properties and system settings, which function as globally accessible key-value pairs for system configuration. However, these covert channels introduce new attack surfaces. If they are not properly protected, they can lead to severe privacy risks. So, in this paper, we conduct a large-scale study of custom Android systems to examine these covert channels, with a particular focus on their security and access control weaknesses. To achieve this, we introduce Identifiers, a systematic analysis framework that identifies system properties and settings exposing non-resettable device identifiers, and more importantly, detects access control vulnerabilities that can lead to identifier leaks. First, we aim to identify all system properties and settings in custom Android systems through setting analysis. For feasibility, we focus on how these entries are used rather than how they are defined. To this end, we summarize the access methods for properties and settings and then locate their usage in the codebase to extract their names and contextual code. Next, to identify sensitive properties and settings, which we refer to entries containing non-resettable device identifiers, we apply two simple but effective heuristics to filter potential candidates, and use the clues in the contextual code to manually confirm which entries are truly sensitive. Finally, we perform access control analysis to identify vulnerable properties and settings, namely sensitive entries that lack proper protection. For system properties, we examine their corresponding Linux policies, while for system settings, we analyze their definitions and annotations in the related classes. Here, I will briefly introduce our findings. After testing more than 1,800 system ROMs, we uncovered thousands of system properties and settings that contain non-resettable device identifiers. We also examined how these entries evolve across Android versions. We found that their numbers steadily increase with a notable spike around Android 10 and 11. This coincides with Google's restriction on identifier access introduced in Android 10, suggesting that this restriction motivates supply chain actors to turn to covert channels instead. Among these sensitive properties and settings, we found that roughly 40% lack proper access control. Our further analysis reveals three root causes behind these vulnerabilities, including the involvement of covert actors in the supply chain. We found that many system apps integrate the Baidu SDK, which introduces two sensitive settings, and none of the tested systems provided effective protection for them. This suggests that system developers were likely unaware of these covert actors when configuring access control. More critically, the same Baidu SDK inside non-privileged apps can obtain device identifiers without any permissions, simply by reading these unprotected settings. Then, we validated the effectiveness of our tool on 32 devices, achieving a precision around 80%. We also compared ourselves with advanced existing work, and we were better in terms of research skill and analysis capabilities. Finally, we found that the same vulnerabilities often recur across devices from the same brand. To verify this, we tested about 300 additional devices and uncovered even more vulnerable system properties and settings. We have reported all confirmed issues to the respective vendors. In conclusion, we identified a real-world security issue, developed a dedicated analysis framework, conducted a large-scale study on the issue, and finally reported the identified vulnerabilities to the affected vendors. Thank you for listening.